Welcome back to Morning Live. Yes, the Kenya National Union of Teachers want the new curriculum to be suspended so that at least structures can be put in place to make sure there's order before now the whole rollout is achieved. In studio, I'll be joined shortly by Amunga, who is, of course, from the communication team from KNUT, and, of course, Dennis Ntumbi, who is in studio to talk about the new confusion. And of course, government should stop further implementation of the new curriculum, which is of course something I'm telling you right now, until it can prove that it is much better than 844, a new report has recommended. Now, the report by the Kenya National Union of Teachers KNUT pours cold water on the much hyped rollout and effectiveness of the Competency Based Curriculum, CBC, describing it as developed by a foreign NGO and hurriedly done. Now, KNUT wants implementation in grade 4 halted until government evaluates CBC's effect on learners during the piloting phase and makes its finding public. Now, the curriculum, also known as 2663, was rolled out at the beginning of this year in primary 1 and of course 2, grades 1, 2 and 3, with grade 4 being targeted by 2020. Following confusion of the readiness of teachers and availability of resources. The report says that after the evaluation, the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, KICD, in cooperation with the curriculum experts and academics, should undertake a comprehensive revision of CBC for pre-primary and, of course, 1, 2 and 3 part of failure of the CBC, according to the report, is the unpreparedness and poor training of teachers. Of course, as I mentioned, I'm joined by Ntumbi and, of course, Amunga, who's, of course, just walking right now. Of course, I'm welcoming Mr. Munga. Good morning.
Morning to you.
All right, you're good?
Yes. Good to see you, my brother.
Yes.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
What happened? You just majestically walked in.
Yes.
What happened to the traffic?
Yeah, but I'm happy to be here.
You're happy to be here.
And this is a wonderful topic.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because the Kenya National Union of Teachers is the servant of, is the public of the eye of the public.
Because Lynette, our camera operator, couldn't hold her laugh. Anyway, Ntumbi,
yes.
The new curriculum, KNUT is up in arms. Once it stopped, what's your opinion on this?
First of all, I agree and disagree with the teachers' union. First of all, is because they are acting as though they are not key stakeholders of the process and of the system, and I'd be wondering why. And there has been this kind of tussle, teachers pulling in this other direction, the ministry pulling in this other direction, and at the end of the day, really, it's our children who are suffering. The Parliamentary Committee on Education, that is chaired by Mr. Munya, poked holes on the sessional paper that the ministry put through. Because even now, we still don't have a policy that is in line with the rollout of the competency-based curriculum. That this has been presented to Parliament, after the rollout, and that's insane in its own nature. So there seems to be some grave, absolutely grave holes and inconsistencies. But at the end of the day, really, and you remember it was stopped, then it was started, these are our children who are suffering. So the thing that we ought to tell the teachers' union and the ministry is that under all circumstances, both of them must shape up. And they must play a part as key stakeholders and not as people who are pulling from different directions. Our desire as parents and as people in this country is to show both organizations working together cohesively to see the proper rollout of this. And even if there were mistakes before, whatever, is that the truth of the matter is that we dearly need the competency-based curriculum. But to be absolutely honest, there has been a culture, and I'll point it to KNUT, that KNUT has always pretended to play a victim and an outsider instead of a major stakeholder. And instead of the teacher saying, look, this is our curriculum, we're the ones who rolled this out, we know the children, we know whatever it is, we want to be major stakeholders, we want to help the ministry. There has always been a detachment of, it looks like the teachers live in Ethiopia and the ministry lives in Kenya, and the teachers visit momentarily. That is an attitude that must be corrected under all means. That victimization or pretending to be victims or whatever, we want the teachers now to start behaving as stakeholders. Because to be absolutely honest, on the matters of curriculum, I'd have hoped that KNUT would have issued guidelines way before. They would have poked holes into all these way before. They would have asked the ministry for the teachers to guide them or be in it way before. But that thing of waiting for things to go wrong, then you suddenly wake up and play a victim. The teachers are not the victims here. The victims here is the health of our nation, number one. And number two is the children who are being treated like guinea pigs, and the teachers and the ministry is playing ping pong with our kids. So that is something that we have to speak strongly against. And Mr. Munga will agree with me, but principally disagree with me because, of course, he doesn't want to go to KNUT and be beaten around of the same. But we disagree that our children should be treated like that.
You see, my co-panelist started very well by identifying the problem. But like every normal Kenyan, he ended by blaming the teachers. And that is what Kenya National Union of Teachers is trying to do, to stop this fact that every time anything goes wrong in the education sector, the teacher is blamed. The teacher is always blamed for everything that happens. When exams are bad, the teacher is blamed. And that is why KNUT has always been on the forefront. When the lab project, the laptops project came up, KNUT was very categorical. It told the minister then, who was Kaimenyi, this laptops thing will not work. They told them this thing is a white elephant. There's no way you can introduce laptops to schools or digital devices to schools without training teachers. It was a political gimmick. It was political suicide. 70 billion shillings later, lost. Now is when the government comes up and says, this thing is not viable, we are not going to do it. The new curriculum, the Kenya National Union of Teachers, Secretary General Sosion, was categorical. He told the government, even before it was launched, that before you launch this thing, involve teachers. Bring teachers on board. Allow teachers to be trained. Delay it. Don't be in a hurry. But the government, because somebody wants to keep a legacy, some political people want to, and even some Kenyans like my co-panelist here, I met them on one time on this very show, and they said, we want education system to improve. We want it to be more, competence-based. But you see, the truth of the matter is we can't afford it. We cannot afford 365
how much time is needed for us now to change?
I'll say something before he says, because I'm the expert here. Yes, I'm the expert here. Even 844, the system that we are trying to run away from, was first, mooted, and a commission, commission was formed. The McKay Commission was formed to investigate why we needed a new curriculum. And it took 4 years. And to launch it, it took actually 8 years for it, the first 844 group to do the exam. This one, we've been given 6 months. We are told over the radio that prepare, there's a new curriculum. Then some white man is brought from some country and is told, and this man is even an ECD teacher, a teacher for nursery schools. He's told to develop for us a curriculum. He develops for us and calls at the Kenya Institute of Education, KICD. And we are told, from next year, prepare for the pilot stage. The pilot stage takes less than 2 years, and we are told now it is being rolled out. Now, this is where the government goes wrong. Somebody is misadvising the government. So somebody somewhere is joking with the lives of the children of this country. And we cannot allow it to happen.
Somebody somewhere is also the teachers. First of all, I'd like to, just demystify something. Is that my colleague thinks he's the only expert on the panel. I'm also a trained teacher, a science teacher, in fact. And my father was a KNUT official, a very key KNUT official.
A comrade, solidarity.
So
solidarity.
He's speaking to a comrade, but he doesn't know. Solidarity. He's already playing victim, and that is what we are trying to speak against.
Damage control, I can see. Anyway, yes.
But the fact of the fact is that I agree with him to some extent, and I disagree with him to some extent. The point is this, because there's a lot of money in this, the government and the ministry has been hiding and just showing up when it needs collaboration of the teacher.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is that largely I agree to the fact that this program or the curriculum development has actually been developed by UN bodies and outsiders. I agree with him, and I also agree with him on the fact that those outsiders have also been trying to introduce something that we call comprehensive sexual education, and that is introducing our kids to you know, many other things that we don't agree to, and we've written expressly to the ministry as church organization questioning that. And in fact, we have sat many times with CS Amin on there about. But the truth of the matter is that the teachers have a negative attitude towards a competency-based curriculum. And that is the saddest thing in this country. Number two, the teachers tend to think that they're also not the government. While they are civil servants, they happen to be the government. And that's the reason why I say they are critical partners. And what we want to see is not animosity between the ministry and KNUT and the Teacher Service Commission. Is that these three twins have always been fighting and punching each other and biting each other and spitting at each other, you know, and that's the reason why education in this country is a fail. And you know, the tragedy is that why would a teacher who carries accurate common sense upon his shoulders then refuse or have a negative attitude towards a competency-based curriculum?
The 8 for 4.
You know, it's a shocking, a curriculum that is going to turn around everything in this nation. Why would a teacher have negative opinion against that? And by the way, these are the words of Mr. Sosion, who also happens to be a member of parliament. So it means he sits at absolute proximity to everything that he can correct. He sits at a place where he can, you know, marshal everybody to the committee and say, why are these holes not happening? So let me tell you what, we refuse to this victim mentality that the teachers are portending. And let me tell you what, at the end of the day, and I say they're not the victims. We know that the teachers, the victims. No, they're not the victims. The children are victims.
If teachers have not been trained,
let me tell you what, trained by who?
Excuse me. For the teachers to teach, they must be trained. They must be equipped. Teachers don't even know what is this CBC. What is competence-based curriculum?
What do you mean by you
define
don't know?
it?
But you
tell
know
us what is it.
Let me ask you something.
Parents.
No.
Let me finish. Let me just finish. I'll give you a chance. Even parents, this curriculum, it's called competence-based curriculum.
Absolutely.
This kind of curriculum even also involves parents. Parents need to be involved in the teaching of their children. Who has trained parents even about this thing? Unless your child is at Riara or Brookside or Brook House or those kind of big schools, this kind of competency-based curriculum has been tried in countries like Malaysia. It failed. It has been tried in South Africa. It failed. Kenya is not going to be an experimental ground where you bring policies that you dump on Kenyans and teachers, and you use this kind of policies to derail teachers.
I'd ask my colleague to talk like a teacher, not like a political emissary from KNUT. And the truth of the matter is that we have seen that one of the key things that KNUT portends is that it takes a political position, and then perhaps they are compromised behind the tent. You know, ile kusema tukutane nyuma ya tent. And then suddenly they always change positions. But the truth is that the critical thing that you see that has been added in front of this is the word competency. At which point do you train for competency? Competency is an attitude. Competency is an environment. You know, competency is something that, and you know, this thing is very easy. What this thing is supposed to realize is that we're supposed to come away from cramming into learning. You understand? These are natural things that we even do at home. These are things that parents have already grown into. All we need to do is create a thriving environment. That KNUT should stop being a militant organization. TSC should stop being a militant organization. The MOE or MOEST should stop being a militant organization. Let me tell you what, this thing, I have gone through it, and the system is fantastic. The only thing that I disagree on this thing is a comprehensive sexual education aspect that may be introduced through here. And let me tell you what, this, and by the way, thank you so much, because the most amazing thing he has said, he has mentioned other schools that are going through other curriculums, and this curriculum is better than GCE and others. This curriculum would actually be able to pick your daughter who is in pre-unit that she's already a scientist or an artist and bring them towards that realization.
Itumbi, please.
Ndombe, not Itumbi. Itumbi is a guy who was in state.
And you talk like him because you seem to be defending the state.
Absolutely not. I'm not defending the state. I am defending my children at the end of the day.
Okay, yeah. I want to tell Kenyans, my brother and the co-panelist is speaking very well. But the competence-based curriculum has not worked anywhere in the world. The only place it seems to have worked is Finland. And it has worked very well in Finland because the Finnish people have invested heavily. You need smaller classrooms of less than 20 or 30 children in a class. You need the content. We have not developed the content for this curriculum. We don't have content developers. The books that you've been seeing on the market are shallow. They have so many big mistakes. Parents of this country, you are being taken in for a ride.
That's inaccurate.
Somebody is making
that is
profiteers
absolutely
who include
inaccurate.
my brothers here.
That is
I must finish.
That is,
I must
you know,
finish.
first of all, we must debunk.
All right.
I must finish.
Allow interjection.
Let him just finish.
Let me finish
Because
this
the
point.
truth of the matter is this. Let me tell you what. Number one, we have to realize who the content developer is. The content developer are the same teachers that he's purporting to. Through
Can I finish?
Kenya Institute of Curriculum
Let him
Development.
finish.
I was involved in that process as through faith organizations.
These are profiteers.
No,
these faith
profiteers
organizations
were-
are people who are
All right,
gaining
guys. All right,
mileage.
That's inaccurate.
Reducing-
That's inaccurate.
Let's take a short break.
That's a political
Let's take a short break.
position he's
Let's take a
taking.
short break.
And it's
Now,
absolutely.
when you come
this
back,
man is a politician,
now when you
not
come
a
back
professional.
now,
We want to
when
say,
you come back now, we want to dwell on how the public is actually now taking the 844 system, terming it as a failed curriculum, whereby now there's so many youths actually who are temaking right now. Will the new CBC actually be a solution? So Amunga and Mr. Ntumbi will be telling us more about this. But as it is, I was doing more of the listening, and of course, season 2 coming up next. Stay tuned to Morning Live. All right, so welcome back to Morning Live. We're talking about the education situation in this country. The new curriculum is kind of being fought. Of course, not wants the 844 to remain intact. You can keep this conversation, of course, be part of the conversation. Tumbi and, of course, Amunga in studio. 29999 as the SMS lines. And, of course, Twitter at Switch TV Kenya. That is on Facebook and Twitter. KE on Instagram. We'll be sampling your views as we go on. Our SMS lines actually open 22999. All right, back to Amunga. There's this tussle about training the teachers, which hasn't been done. And of course, you're trying to touch on geographical areas where, for example, some teachers are not even aware of this curriculum.
Yes, the research that was done by KNUT was a comprehensive research. It's a research that involved teachers on the ground. Now, what you hear from the Ministry of Education and sometimes what you see on the media are schools in urban settings, maybe schools in Nairobi, maybe Nakuru or Mombasa. But you're talking about schools deep in the village.
Okay.
Talking about schools, when you hear about hunger in Turkana, there are schools in Turkana. There are teachers also in Turkana teaching the same syllabus that I expect to teach the same syllabus.
Okay.
The TTCs or the teacher training colleges, Eregi TTC, Kericho Teachers College, they have not been given any material to train their teachers to be competent or to prepare them for this new curriculum.
Okay.
Teachers are not prepared. I have talked to teachers even deep in the villages, in Musuitsui, in Shibinga, in Huisero. These teachers don't know what we are talking about when you talk about new curriculum. But you see my brother here, who is my co-panelist, he's saying he's a teacher, but he's a teacher in Nairobi. He's talking maybe about Kianda School. He's talking maybe about schools in Nairobi. Those are the schools he's to his mind. When you talk about a school, you're talking about a school in Nairobi. He doesn't know that there's also a school in Turkana where students are seated under a tree, waiting first for lunch and then for somebody to teach them and prepare them.
We also have
Teachers
parents
are
watching,
not
and they're
prepared.
confused,
The
actually.
truth of the matter is that, first of all, I'd want us to completely tackle this discourse with intellectual calmness, because these are very critical issues. One of the things I haven't done is disagree that there's lack of preparedness. I agree with him that the teaching aspect is absolutely core. Number two, the infrastructure to meet the environment that is prerequisite to this. Those are things that must be met. And by the way, one of the critical things that we've seen is that there was a miss of budgeting some 365 billion shillings to support this process. But guess what, who is sitting in parliament? It is Mr. Sosion, the same noisemaker out here. So that is what shocks me, because the ministry, there was no, it's my opinion. At the end of the day, listen, he's your boss and your parent. The truth of the matter, allow me to finish. Both paid by the state and NUT.
And he talks and
allow me to finish. The truth is that he can articulate for teachers, but you see, we are talking about a nation. This is not just the interest of teachers. This is the interest of a nation, the interest of parents. And the reason why I'm calling Sosion a noisemaker is for this. Is because how come Sosion is sitting in parliament and we failed to budget for 365 billion to support the new process?
Did he have support?
You see, that is the most shocking thing.
Did he have support?
Because the truth of the matter, the truth of the matter, what do you mean by legislation? Is policy and law.
Wait, please.
No, you see, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, allow me just to finish for one moment, then I put. So one of the things that I'd want to see is, number one, instead of demonizing a good curriculum, let us speak about, now that the sessional paper has been presented to Parliament, how can this money be availed to support the curriculum rollout? How can we have training done? How can we have the aspect of parents brought in? And then how can we then improve the infrastructure that is prerequisite for this? But saying that the CBC, the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum is wrong, that is the wrong position that NUT is taking.
Let me just clarify something. Curriculum implementation goes through stages. There's even public participation. There are even commissions that are supposed to be formed. There's even the legislation part.
The support system.
Now, in this case, we are talking about a curriculum that has been rolled out, yet it doesn't have the sessional paper. Last week, the minister, who is outgoing minister, CS Amina Mohammed, appeared before the Parliamentary Education Committee at Pan-Africa Hotel. And Amos Kimunya, who is one of the members of that group, asked, why are you late? Why have you come to us late? Why didn't you bring this thing earlier so that we look at it and we are able to plan and budget? The minister, the government, is the one that makes policies. Parliament listens to them and rectifies and then passes them into law. The ministry has failed. It has failed Kenyans. And that's why Okiya Omtatah, as we speak right now, is in court to stop this new curriculum. As we speak right now, this thing has not been presented to Parliament itself. It has only been presented to the Parliamentary Education Committee, meaning it's still illegal. We are involved in an illegality as a country. Can you imagine that we are using our children as an experiment, doing an illegality with our own children, and we have somebody who can come to this panel and tell us that this is the right thing that we are doing? We are doing the wrong thing. We are supposed to be sued. I'm just finishing. By that, in the next 10 seconds, I'll finish. So we are saying, as teachers of this country, don't put the cart before the horse. Do everything right. Why is it that in this country, everything is done wrong? We have to start with a political statement that will provide every child in this country with a laptop. Then after we have made that political statement, then we go back to the drawing board. Then we now go back to Parliament to come up with the laws. No, Kenya.
30% of schools. 30% of schools actually had started taking over the new curriculum. 30% of schools. 70%.
My son is doing it. My son is doing it.
Which school is your son?
Sitam.
Sitam is a private school.
It's
a private school. Yeah, it's a private school.
Okay.
No, but
Sitam is a private. It's one of the elite churches.
At the end of the day, it's at the end of the day. No, you know,
and that's why I'm talking about schools like
at the end of the day, I'm asking my brother to stop being emotional. This is something that's critical.
I'm emotional because we have gotten it wrong.
Don't be emotional, because if he's emotional, then we have to stop this session and pray for him, because this is something that we have to have counterbalance. You understand? The truth of the matter is this. First of all, this is something that has been discussed in Parliament, not once, but severally.
No, it hasn't.
But no, it has been discussed. In fact, 1.5 billion shillings has already been dispersed to the ministry for this particular thing. Budgeting has been done. No, relax. Budgeting has been done per head. And then in day school, the budgeting per day school child is 6,000 shillings and boarding 8,000 shillings. Okay. And that is, and that is particularly for infrastructure development.
No, talk about free primary and free secondary, which has not even
listen,
school accounts.
Allow me to speak.
Yeah.
That
but
money,
don't mislead the public.
No. That money is for infrastructure development. That particular budgeting. The new competency-based curriculum requires that infrastructure. So are you telling me that we will build that infrastructure for free primary and then we build another infrastructure for competency-based curriculum? It is the same infrastructure that we're talking about. The other thing that is rather shocking is that I know he has said we are doing the wrong thing. No. Let me tell you what my English lecturer taught me. Is that it is not the wrong thing that is being done. It is the right thing, but in the wrong way. So what we need to correct is not the thing, but it is the way. And since we have already
because he mentioned it took 8 years, it took so much time for it to roll out.
The truth of the matter is that it's true that there are certain things that we have done wrong. And I agree with him is the fact that we have put the cart before the horse. So what the thing is that what I want NUT to do is not to be paying the likes of Okiya Omtata to go to court and stop something good. What we want NUT to do is, at least for the first time, to stop being political and to start making sense in this nation. Because the animosity between the Ministry of Education, NUT and TSC, and these guys have been throwing blows at each other consistently, and our children have suffered. The reason why the 844 is a failed system and the reason why education in this country sucks is because of those three brothers. NUT being the main castigator, Ministry of Education, and at the end of the day, TSC. They have never, collaboratively worked to deliver the quality of education that we need.
What you're saying is not true. The last minister who is just outgoing from the Ministry of Education, CS Amina Mohammed, has been one of the best friends of NUT. We as NUT have worked with her. She came up with a policy about marginalized affirmative action to recruit teachers from marginalized areas with lower grades into teachers training colleges. We accepted, we supported her. The lady came up with gender desk. We accepted it. You know, Amina Mohammed has worked closely with the unions. Now, let me just say this.
Why did
my panelist is from the faith organizations. We want to bring to his attention and to the attention of the public that the new curriculum, the new competence-based curriculum, is actually anti-church. It has a lot of foreign funding. It has a lot of things that you can, when you look at it and actually you think about it very critically, and I'm sorry to say this on national TV like this morning, many of those things are not things that you'll want your children to learn about. They include what he's talking about, sex education for children. They include things that are actually a church, which he comes from, will call it demonic. We are saying, Kenyans, have you looked at the content of the new curriculum?
At what age?
Have you looked at the content of this new curriculum?
By the way, are they taking through the sex education?
That's what age. Allow me to finish. I'm just going on with the point.
No, hold on. You've made your point and you've clarified. I want to clarify something. Is that, the conversation about teenage pregnancies and all that has been a conversation.
The bigger question is at what age?
No, the conversation has been, and by the way, comprehensive sexual education is not something that is curriculum based. It's something that they are sneaking through as a matter of, human skills or whatever it is that there is. And by the way, we have met with the various bodies to speak strongly against this, and we have been given the requisite support we want. Now, the truth of the matter is that this is something that will resolve the bad education we have in the country, the bad culture, and also the cramming system that our children are just going through a system to cram through, but there's no learning at the end of the day. So if we look at this, I'm even shocked that my brother is actually supporting the lowering of grades for teachers so that then a politician may create employment within his area. That is absolutely wrong. The quality must be maintained, and we must make sure that we train. We're talking about competency. Competency, then, how do you then recruit teachers with a lower grade?
I have a question, Bonamunga. You know, as much as we're talking about the new competency curriculum and, of course, 844, but research shows that 844 has really produced, of course, You know what I mean?
In fact, let me just speak up.
And that's the
for
same
what you
thing
said.
that NUT want.
Please allow us to finish.
NUT
You are
is standing
standing
for
Okay, I'll just pose a question because now
It's shocking.
when you balance,
844
it's actually, it has its pros and cons.
Listen, we don't even need a
yeah.
new curriculum.
Okay.
What we need is maybe content.
That's
we need,
inaccurate.
We need just some content to be developed.
That's inaccurate.
And a few things to be shaped in the content of what we teach our children.
Before you continue.
And
That's inaccurate.
Before you continue.
That's
844
Yeah.
has produced
That's
some of the
inaccurate.
best writers.
Okay.
Never.
Ken Price, brother, you'll have to wait and I finish.
Well, 'cause it's not
Some of the
accurate.
best writers in the world have come from the 844 system. I read a newspaper report of one of the best electrical and electrical engineer in the world. Right now, you go even to American universities. Some of the best students we are having in those universities, some coming from the Equity.
That is inaccurate to
Fly-
say 844 is a success.
844
844 is one of the grandest.
Oh, my friend,
Let
I
me
think,
tell you why.
I think,
everybody,
I will not be able to make my
let
point
me tell
now.
you what.
There's an SMS coming here from a
Everybody would
viewer.
agree
I will
to
not
the
be able
point
to
that
make my
844 is an absolute fail. And that's the reason why we're bringing
cannot
in a
have
new
people coming to shout
curriculum
here
system.
who are not. Who want to push their
From a
personal
viewer,
agenda.
actually, a text coming in, that SMS. Of course, this is not representative. Amunga is proving how kind of a challenging situation they have to understand competence-based curriculum. For the sake of the viewer, maybe take us through just the summary.
allow
Of,
me.
he will allow you,
Yes.
of course.
Yes.
Take us through now. 2 years, 6 years. Maybe take us
Yes,
through all
I'll
those
do it,
things.
I'll
Yeah,
do
sure.
it.
Yeah.
This new curriculum is talking about 2 years at early childhood education.
ECD,
ECD.
for 2 years.
Yes, for
so
2 years.
I'll be nursery
As
school
I speak
for
to
2
you,
years.
this rollout
I'll be
started
nursery
from
school for 2 years.
you are supposed to be in school for 2 years
Nursery school.
to nursery school.
Wow.
It's part of the curriculum.
Okay.
But now look at this. When they rolled out, they started with grade 1. Grade 1 is like class 1. So from class 1 to class 6, you'll be in what we call lower primary.
Okay.
That's grade 6. Then from grade 7, 8, and 9, you'll be we'll be calling lower secondary. So you'll go from grade 1 to grade 9. It's like the American system, actually. It's just like exactly the American system. So that high school starts from grade 10, 11, and 12.
How many years are you spending in
So
school?
you are talking about almost first 2 years in the primary. Then you're talking about 8 years. Is it 7 years in the lower primary?
Okay.
And then you're talking about now 4 years at 3 years at the high school, and 3 years at the university. So now here is the challenge. That the government has rolled it out, but it has even ignored the early childhood. There is no content for the early childhood. These people have started from grade 1.
Okay.
We were going to grade 2. We are now at grade 3 actually. We are actually in grade 4 right now as we speak. ECD, nothing has been developed. I'm a high school teacher. The high school teachers whom I talk to almost every day, and my wife is one of the teachers who teach in high school, have no content of the new curriculum. Nothing. They've not been trained. So what is going on is this, and we have done our research.
Okay.
The foreigners, who include World Bank, IMF, they want to bring something called the New World Order. The New World Order is a religious thing, which my brother, if he was able to be in church to attend his Sunday school properly, he'll have heard of the New World
I'm actually
Order.
a pastor,
Listen,
so
and let me just finish.
let me tell
No,
you
let
the
me
truth.
finish.
No, he's
Because
made
this is
his
the
point.
point.
All
No,
right.
I'm
So
not.
he's made his
I've
point.
not
Allow me
made
to
the point.
clarify.
Top
You've
of
made
the
your
hour,
point.
it is. Let's take a short break.
Yeah, he needs a break.
When you come back now, you want to touch on the nitty-gritties, the content. Of course, we mentioned sex education. Why is it not so much important? Because from where I'm seated, I thought sex education is good for the growing kids, of course, but the question is, from what age? All that after a short break. Welcome back to Morning Love. Bwana Dennis Ntumbi and of course Mr. Munga still in studio, and now we want to dwell on a very critical topic, a very critical angle in that new competency-based curriculum where sex education is involved. Now the bigger question is, at what grade, at what age is it now disseminated to the pupils or the students in this situation? Amunga, you've done the research, everything. At what age maybe is this
The
section?
required age should be around 12 years. That is standard 7 or 8, whereby the teachers can teach some small bits of reproductive health.
Okay.
And in the process of teaching about reproductive health, you are able to mention a few things about sexuality.
Okay.
But now, with a new curriculum, which we are opposed to, grade 3, which is like 7 years old. Grade 3, there's a book called Environmental Studies. It's a book at grade 3.
Okay.
That book has been recommended by KICD. In that book, there is a drawing of a condom. Now, a child at 7 years old is being introduced to sexuality and sex, things like condoms, is even impossible to imagine. And that is why we are saying, as the Kenya National Union of Teachers, this thing is Illuminati. It is not anything from God. And we are shocked that even there are pastors who can sit on a panel like this one and support something that is being pushed down our throats by groups and forces from the dark kingdom.
First of all, that's an erroneous position. It is actually terrible brouhaha from somebody who pretends to be a teacher or comes from that.
Okay.
The faith-based organizations that I come from have been on the front line of fighting any comprehensive sexual education. And the reason why the word comprehensive comes in, we are not opposed to sex ed. We are opposed to the term comprehensive, because comprehensive brings in any sort of nonsense. The truth of the matter, and what we've seen in the media, is that there are teachers who've been suspended for being sex-based and impregnating students. I pray that my brother can say that, because teachers have been the first ones who've been preying on our girls. So we want to stop that. But the truth of the matter is this, is that sex-based education is a sacrosanct type of learning. It must be trained from the point of religion. And by the way, that's a point that we have agreed with the ministry and with KICD. And we're actually sitting together to ensure that we develop materials. Because if we are teaching you about your sexuality, then we must teach you to be aware that you're living in a fallen world, and for us to teach you sex in the context of marriage as designed by God. But the truth of the matter is that the competency-based curriculum is largely good because it brings out the talent. And by the way, the reason why we kicked out 844 is because 844 was a grand failure.
It's still going on.
No. I mean, we are rolling out a new curriculum. The truth of the matter is that...
It's not been rolled out.
Allow me to finish. The truth of the matter is that 844 failed to deliver the aspirations of Kenya in line to Vision 2030. Today, actually, the truth of the matter is that we don't even have innovators at the end of the day. We have produced even lab technicians, guys who are just wearing white coats and hawking medicine from abroad. You see, at the end of the day, we have no engineers who are producing anything in this country. At the end of the day, let me tell you the truth. The truth of the matter is that tell me one thing that we have produced.
We have some of the best journalists in this country.
Agriculture.
We have some of the best writers produced by the 844.
No, please, this is not a rally. Allow me to finish. It's not a political rally.
Yes,
NUT people are used to shouting, blah, other than nothing. The truth of the matter is that
these are insults.
No, it's not an insult. At the end of the day, no, listen, it's okay. I'm not here to please anybody. But the truth of the matter is this. Let me say this. I want the representative from NUT here, who is a political rep of Sosion, let us talk about critical issues. Number one, we cannot throw away the competence-based curriculum. We need to poke holes and fill those holes as Kenyans. This is something good. If the problem is sex ed, let us bring in what we want our children to learn. Because the truth of the matter is that we are plagued with teenage pregnancies. Does not have a solution? No, they don't. In fact, they've been the problem. Their teachers have been the problem. Number two, is at the end of the day, is the issue training of teachers? Let's put money into that. Is the issue infrastructure? Let's put money into that. Let us talk factually and move consequentially and build a platform that 844 must go, because it is not addressing the aspirations of this nation and the aspirations of children. We are unable to produce. And
so
by the way, let me tell you what.
Is it right for the sex education to be introduced at that age, Banantumi?
The truth of the matter is that this is something that I mentioned, that sex education is something that we have to teach our children.
At what age?
And at what age? This is something that varies and goes consequentially. There are things that you cannot tell your 7-year-old child, but there are things that you must make them aware. Because you know what? They are prone to that risk of being sexualized. Even if you don't teach them, the media will teach them, the internet will teach them. So they are prone to that risk. So the truth of the matter is that you always mitigate risk with knowledge. Knowledge is power. But what level of knowledge do you give them at that point?
My brother Dennis, I almost called him the other operative from State House, but I wanted to I want to say this.
Let
Dennis,
us focus on matters. Can you
Dennis,
discuss about the curriculum?
Dennis,
I am
the
not the
moment,
issue. I am
the
neither
moment,
parliament nor whatever it is.
though you keep on mentioning Sosion, and you know you are annoying teachers of
but
this
that
country.
is your small god. That's the reason why you're so pissed off.
You are-
Can we at least focus
Yes.
on issues?
Amunga, it's your turn now.
Amunga,
This is my
focus
turn.
on
Yeah,
issues.
yeah.
Focus on issues.
You cannot
Focus
tell
on
somebody.
issues.
You cannot tell somebody that takes this little poison. There's little poison in this food. Just take this poison. It is. We will clean it up as we go along. It's like what we are being told about this new constitution. Somebody told us this constitution. In fact, the faith-based people told us this constitution has problems.
Okay.
And some of us said, no, the problems may be just 20%. We'll deal with it when we reach there. Let me tell you, it has affected us. It has downed this country. The same thing with the curriculum-based, the competence-based curriculum, whereby now we are hearing people telling us there are small things in it which are bad, but let us go on with it.
Sex education?
And we teachers are
Sex
saying,
education now?
Sex
Sex
education,
education is not in the competency
it
based
is
curriculum. We need
there.
to say
It is
which level.
It is at grade
No,
4.
it is
Grade
being
4. At
sneaked
what
in.
age?
That is great. That is
It is
8
being
years.
sneaked in.
8
Let me tell you
years.
what.
Okay,
Is it
I'm
right?
not saying anything.
844
Is
has
it right?
delivered for us
Amunga,
teenage pregnancies.
Amunga,
Unless you
continue.
help
That
me,
You
is
can
at the
continue
sort
now.
of
Unless
ability.
You can
help
continue
me and
now.
you protect
No,
me
he
from
needs to
my-
say the truth.
Yeah,
If he doesn't
Amunga,
say the truth,
your turn.
you must put a grill on him.
Let him finish.
So we are saying, I have the book in my house. We are researchers. We have researched. We have the table here. The book, I've carried it here. At grade 4, we are being told that we teach our children about condoms. We are saying that is too early. At 7 years old, that is too early.
No.
So we are saying this.
It's
And I want us to
inaccurate.
get it very
You're so
clearly.
ignorant. No.
That
Mr.
teachers in this country, first of all, are not sex pests. Teachers are not pedophiles. Teachers are professionals. They go to schools to teach. And if there are some pedophiles among teachers, that's unfortunate, and that's not the career of teachers. They are also in church. The clergy are also affected by pedophiles. The medicine profession, the legal profession, they are all affected. Even some of our children in schools are pedophiles. And that's now why I want to come in. When we start teaching children sex education in class 4, we are actually preparing them to start molesting their fellow children in schools, to start experimenting with their fellow children in schools. We are the teachers. We are not sitting in some ivory tower at Sitam or some place. We are seated in class. We are watching the children in those classes. We know their psychology. And we are telling this country that as teachers, we are not prepared to teach your children the new curriculum. We don't accept it. It is wrong for your children. It has poison in it. And the way you are warned that the new constitution has problems and you refuse to listen and you voted for it, the same way we're also telling Kenyans, this curriculum has loopholes, has
That's a
things that
political statement.
cannot work.
That is a
And if you
political
go for
statement.
it as
It's a
Kenyans,
political
you will
statement.
pay
And
dearly,
this is the
you
reason
will
why-
lose a generation,
No,
and you'll
that's a
come to
lie.
regret.
Those are empty threats.
You are accepting the fact
Those
that
are
now
empty threats.
condoms can be introduced.
By
to
the way,
kids.
Mr.
You
Wafula,
kind of- you're nodding.
Mr. Wafula, I'd be so ignorant of the times that we are living in that my son Neville, who is 7 years old, doesn't know what a condom is, because he lives in a day where internet is accessible. He has friends in school who are already sexualized. The media out there is
He's
heavily
talking about a child in
sexualized.
Nairobi. He's not talking
Where
about a
he's
child
going?
in
No.
Shibinga or
By the
Shamsi.
way, my child
He's
is
talking
not.
about a child in
Listen,
Nairobi,
listen.
Sitam school,
No.
one of the most elitist schools
You
in
know,
Nairobi.
even the man doesn't know geography and is a teacher. I said Kitengela. I didn't say Ngong Road. So
Kitengela
even
is
geography is
the
an issue.
metropolitan. It's
Truly,
part of
then we
Nairobi.
need competency in schools if a teacher doesn't know geography. But the truth of the matter is that we'll be living ignorantly if we don't know that our children are already sexualized. You understand? Because
That
we
is now
are
Illuminati.
no, it's not Illuminati.
That is what we call
It's-
devil
it's-
worship.
No,
Where we
it's
can
a
start
truth.
accepting
It's a truth.
that sin is with us, and so let us put up with the sin.
Stop
Let him
shouting like
finish.
it's a rally.
I
You
have
see,
to- I have to shout now.
you
We
brought a
cannot-
politician.
We cannot allow
who is
somebody to come and
it's not.
spread-
This is not a political rally.
We cannot
Unfortunately,
allow you to come and
Okay.
spread
even if you see
sinful things on
sometimes
this-
the
on this
demeanor of
channel.
Sossion is shouting.
Okay.
You know, the issue is that
We are not
let
going
us
to accept.
let us tackle this matter with, you know, intellectual tranquility. You know, we don't have to shout to make a point.
And let us keep
He
the
needs to
devil
address
out.
himself out.
Lock the devil out
This
of
is
our
what I
education
said.
system.
This is what I said.
Okay.
And you know, the problem is that the show is going to end and we're not going to bring a point because the gentleman is shouting. The truth of the fact is that even the church, we have realized that we're living in dangerous times. That's wisdom. Number two, if you're living in dangerous times, you counter it with knowledge.
You don't conform.
The Bible says, stop shouting kindly.
Okay.
Somebody needs to put a tape on this gentleman. Number two, the Bible says,
Let him finish.
my people perish because of the lack of knowledge. So to counter any fall, any backwardness, any uncivilization, you bring in knowledge. The fact is that we're saying we need to bring sex skills into the schools, but those ones that are tempered.
What do you mean sex skills?
Sex skills, I said, you know, it's life skills
Okay.
that are tempered within biblical precepts or within Islam or Hindu. Whatever it is that you can, we can put that within religious education and teach you about sexuality based on what God says, based on family, but not within the secular concepts. And we have fought, and by the way, we have tabled petitions of up to 40,000 parents. I belong to a movement called Parents Against Comprehensive Sexual Education. Which body has not formed to fight that aspect? We have tabled, and by the way, we have marched. I have videos of the fact that we have marched in this city towards the Ministry of Education to tell them to drop any secular kind of sexualization to our children. So that based, we tackled a point. And that is what KNUT is supposed to be doing. Instead of demonizing competency and saying that take us back to backwardness, 844, something that has failed in our aspiration. We produce engineers by paper. We're not even innovators in this country. If you look at competency, what we're bringing, and by the way, this gentleman needs to acquaint himself with why was this curriculum brought in. And we are looking at the aspirations of the nation. And by the way, the truth of the matter is that we have produced white-collar guys who are job-seeking. But the truth of the fact is that we are actually bringing in innovators. We are bringing the aspect of science. We are bringing employers in. That is what this competence is bringing. So instead of no, by the way, allow me to clarify that point. It is very important that I clarify that. I didn't say teachers are sex-based. I said there's a problem in the society. And the society recruits teachers, recruits anybody who is even faith-based. Is that the truth of the matter is that our children today are faced with an aggressive, sexualized environment. And based on that, we have to tackle it with knowledge.
Before we take a break,
last month, 29 teachers were suspended. Was being that.
Yeah. And you are not told how many boarders and church leaders were also.
Of course, there are many. But the fact is that
Professor Magoha is coming in.
Professor
Magoha is coming in, of course, as he is, and his main agenda is actually the competency curriculum. Now, of course, someone has gone to court. Magoha is coming in, and his main focus will be the curriculum expectations. You know what will
be delivered.
You know what Magoha.
And that is the reason why KNUT is making
when Magoha appeared before the parliamentary committee for vetting, he was asked a very simple question by a very wonderful member of parliament. He asked him, "What do you say about delocalization, this transfer of teachers, hapless transfer of teachers?" And he said something that just shocked us. He said, "What is so special about teachers? God, everything is so special about teachers. This generation depends on teachers, Mr. Magoha. And if you are watching us, we want to tell you now, if you don't know what is so special about teachers, we shall teach you.
You see,
we shall show you that teachers have something very special about them."
Let's take a short break. But when you come back,
we are here to tell
let's defend Mr. Magoha.
Teachers,
everything we have.
Let's take a short break.
We're
taking a short break.
Teachers are special.
We're taking a short break. Okay, gentlemen.
You cannot ask us how special are teachers.
We are taking a short break now. When you come back now, we'll be talking about what Bwana Magoha will be delivering now. Okay. Allow us to take a short break, please. Allow us to take a short break. Thank you very much. We're taking a short break now. We want to talk about... Right. Welcome back to Morning Live. And trust me, during the break, it's not different. It's actually been fire right here in studio. Yes, the question is all about the competency curriculum test. And of course, the new curriculum. And trust me, KNUT is against it. And of course, some few educationists out here feel like there needs to be change. Some schools have started, Some haven't started. So there's so much confusion. And of course, it's some kind of a very, very kind of just a wave of negativity, positivity in a balanced way. And in studio, the gentleman continues telling us about this. I'll read one SMS from a viewer here. Says, sex education is introduced by parents cause you can find parents doing their things while actually children are watching. And so what do you expect the kinds to do just to follow their leaders? Okay, the kids to do just to follow their leaders. Now, Bwana Amunga,
yes.
Before I go to Ntumbing, I'll come back to you. You received a call here right now, the
Yes,
break.
yes. Yeah.
And
Yeah, the teachers are calling, and the teachers representative and the union
saying
leader.
to insult Magoha.
And they are telling me, keep it up. They are saying...
No, they
Actually,
keep
the
it up
word-
with the insults. No,
the-
we cannot
the
allow
word
you
they
to
are
insult
saying
the
is
CS.
this. Tell that co-panelist of yours.
No, they haven't said that. They haven't said
They are
that. I'm
saying,
a teacher also. Tell them
they are
I'm a
saying we are
teacher also.
teachers.
We went to the
We are
same
in those
schools.
schools, and we can tell you there's nothing going on
okay.
in our schools.
All
There's
right.
nothing like that competence-based curriculum in our public schools in the rural areas. That was a teacher from Mararal.
Okay.
Now, I want to say this.
Okay, that's a lie because they never spoke that.
Magoha needs us more than we need him.
Okay.
He
That's
needs
untrue.
teachers for him to succeed.
Okay.
He needs us. In fact, I expect him, if this morning he'll be sworn in, and I'm actually expecting him to be sworn in this morning. I'm expecting the first call he'll make is to the Secretary General
To do
of
what?
Teachers, Brother, Comrade, Honorable Wilson Sosion. That he'll tell Sosion that, Brother Sosion, come, we shake hands and let us work together. Because if he's going to take a military stand against teachers, and if he's going to work and try to ignore teachers, then he's going nowhere.
But Sosion told
He's
him.
a surgeon.
Sosion told
We are
him he's a
teachers.
surgeon.
He's
We are
just a
teachers.
surgeon. He's a
Sosion
mere
told him.
surgeon.
Yeah, listen.
A mere
No,
surgeon.
no,
We are
no,
teachers.
no.
We are the
Please.
educators.
Let me tell you
So-
what.
Ntumbi.
It's tragic. It is tragic. It is monstrous. It is a sad day for this nation. When someone called a teacher is calling somebody with the level of education as Mr. Magoha, Honorable Magoha, as a mere surgeon.
Okay.
Did he go into medical school and beat Mr. Magoha? I thought a teacher is supposed to value education and at the end of the day and not speak against it. It's tragedy for a teacher to speak against education.
For
You to say mere surgeon,
word mere means
at
simply.
the end of the day, the truth of the matter is this. Teachers have been, some teachers, and I'm not saying all, is that because we have very good teachers, is that even my own father was a teacher. He's retired now, and is somebody who is respected where he comes from. The truth of the matter is that you remember the burning of schools. You remember how teachers opposed the Matiang'i rules that were supposed to sanitize exams. Because the same teachers are the same cartels, selling education, selling everything of the sort. You understand? They have been the impediment to any change in this country. And now they have sent an emissary who tragically looks Ben Roche to come and shoot down this thing that is a good thing at the end of the day, competency-based curriculum. This research that they've done is absolutely rubbish, and I'm rubbishing it on studio.
Okay.
Because it is
Feedback from a
meant
viewer
to
via Twitter.
give a position
We have
that
Anthony
is erroneous
Davis.
at the end
Anthony
of the day.
Davis says,
Yeah.
other than that, as a country, we don't have an idea of which skills to develop for what purpose. What drives us is the hula balloon, not practically. If we want to drive manufacturing, can we develop engineering skills
And that
with
is
an
what
aim in mind?
competency, by the
That
way,
is actually Anthony Davis trying to actually allude this whole conversation. But of course, still on Twitter, we having Linda Otieno actually says that it's not very proper for teachers to throw this away because we need to try new things. But of course,
Kenyans are
I'll still read another
sensible and
one
bright.
from Paul Kamau who say, actually Winnie Auma Amondi who says, so should we just stay in our comfort zone because we can't take on challenges? And of course, McKenna John says, teachers are not against the curriculum. Visit schools and you'll get it right. Zero preparedness. How can you embrace something
Those
you've
are
got no
things that
clue?
we can treat.
No training on, proper
Those are
intensive
things
training.
that we can
And of
treat.
course, who else? We have Nyagot who says now that as much as we are fighting on the new curriculum, we have to understand that 844 was a flop. I suffer because of 844.
Exactly.
Now,
Let me ask you, allow me to read a ministerial statement.
Mixed
Listen, let me tell
feedback
you
here.
something. Allow me to read a ministerial statement. This is very key. let me tell you what, this is a ministerial statement that was also had on why the new system is key. It says the system was phased out because it was deemed unsuitable for the changing aspirations of Kenyans and the labor market, which was slowly beginning to embrace technology. The program laid emphasis on academics as opposed to orienting learners for employment. It also failed to cater for the critical pre-primary level of schooling. Let me tell you something which is key, and this is for those employment. Roughly, Kenya requires 30,000 technologists, 90,000 technicians, and 400,000 craftsmen to attain the mega projects under Vision 2030. 844 has been criticized for being too expensive, broad, and burdensome to learners, with the latter being largely blamed for causing strikes.
No problem. So I need to say something. Please. What is reading is the normal way it happens in this country. We have so much things on paper. We'll create 5,000 jobs per year. We'll do this every. We'll have,
which is an area.
You know, there are so much things that are written by ministers that none of them works. So much. Actually, the things that we see, actually, Jubilee government may go down as one of the governments that has had so many theories that have never worked. So Sion said, and he warned the president. And I believe there are people watching.
So is now part of the government.
And I want to believe
he's part of the
I believe my brother is listening, and he'll pass the information to his cohorts. This is the truth. So Sion told the president, you may go down with a very bad legacy in education world. This is a note from Hon. Sosion to me, to make sure that I make sure that Kenyans understand. An education system, a new curriculum goes through stages. Summative evaluation to see the existing curriculum if it's working or not. Then you go into needs assessment. Do we really need a new curriculum? And all these go through public participation. Yes.
You know,
listen,
at the end of the day,
wait, I'm finishing. I'm finishing. This is very important. This is very important.
No, it's not important.
Needs assessment. Needs assessment means we have to do something called public participation. Even people in this studio need to be asked, do we need a new curriculum?
Yes.
We need people to go throughout the countries, the way we have building bridges initiative, whereby people go across the country asking questions. Then it is from there we develop a policy framework to have a new curriculum. As I speak to you, we have no policy framework. We've not done needs evaluation. We've not gone out to the public. Neither have we done summative evaluation of the existing 844 curriculum to know the failures of 844, to know the strengths of 844, so that we develop on those ones to come up with a new curriculum. Then from there, we go to curriculum designs. We now design the curriculum and the content and the books and the syllabus. As I speak, that is where we are. We started by developing content, coming up with the books, before going through the other earlier stages. And then it's from there, we go to pilot stage. Pilot stage should take minimum, according to Brother Sosion, who is a PhD student in curriculum development at the University of Nairobi right now. He'll be graduating this year. According to Sosion, pilot stage should take 8 years. Then from there is when you go to implementation rollout. I'm saying this, and Kenyans can listen to us. We've gotten it wrong. We are doing this to please a political.
The truth of the matter is that,
and if Magoha wants to succeed,
Magoha
will come,
because as Kenyans we are behind him.
Magoha will come to us. Magoha, after coming to us, we will teach him these things. We'll show him. He's a surgeon. Surgeons have not gone through curriculum implementation. We shall teach him that this is not a surgeon table where he's operating on some dead person. This is something that has to be done.
So as we're winding up,
about lives of teachers.
This conversation, Mtumbi, we need to understand that here, as much as Kenyans are watching, we have different reactions. Of course, I've read some on Twitter. Now, what is your conclusion on this matter? Because as it is, you are pro the new curriculum.
Yes.
KNUT is anti.
Yeah, of course, they've been anti everything, as long as there's no money. The truth of the matter is this.
I'm
not insulting. I'm a Kenyan. I'm a taxpayer. I say that. Allow me, because it's my time. He's not even, he's attacking me on whatever.
No problem.
And I'm not afraid, but at the end of the day, I'm saying if this is the nature of Sosion's people attacking people just hopelessly, it's a tragedy. The truth of the matter is that the 26333 system has been touted as the ultimate remedy to limitations identified in the 844 system because of its entirely skill-based aspect.
Okay.
The truth of the matter is that the need assessment has already been done.
Okay.
That's the reason why we want a new curriculum.
Okay.
That's the reason why we want new content.
Okay.
That said, is that the truth of the matter is that we can no longer stay with 844 because 844 has failed us. We need a new curriculum.
Okay.
So whether we have got the process of implementation wrong, that's not the question. The question is that we can always go back and start afresh.
All right.
We can't have the likes of KNUT demonizing, learned people in this country, demonizing Mr. Magoha, who we dearly need because of the mess that the likes of KNUT have
Sasha Kambu on Twitter says, I wish we could embrace the new curriculum, but there is no structures in place to implement it. Let's be practical. I would like the reasoning of Peter Munga. She still says this should start when a child is just sex education. Yes. When a child is about 15 years old, of course, that's her opinion. Of course, comments still coming in right now. Of course, I read the last one where someone says that that's David's, that indeed, as much as we're talking, Professor Magoha will actually lead us. We see, but we actually looking forward to a very, very big tug of war between KNUT and the ministry.
Let me tell you what,
I was to speak
based
last.
on
as you went,
I was wondering. The truth of the matter is that KNUT must cooperate with Magoha. Must, because we pay them. And even though they collect a lot of money from teachers, and even if Sosion is being paid double, is the truth that we pay teachers from our taxes. We want education to work in this country. And it is not KNUT to do it at their own terms. They'll do it at our terms as a nation. And we need the new curriculum. Let them collaborate with the Ministry of Education, who is Mr. Magoha now, with the TSC and with everybody else, including our development partners, because we still need funding to do this at the end of the day, including with legislative bodies like Parliament. Let us see which is the best way to
as you wind up,
my co-panelist is a great debater and he has actually pushed his points very well, but he's holding brief for government.
I'm not holding brief. I'm holding brief for the children.
And the privatization.
The cartels are the teachers who've been selling exams.
He's the cartel here.
And but this man is from a cartel called KNUT.
And I want to say this to our viewers. This new curriculum is demonic. It's diabolic. It's Illuminati. That's why we oppose it.
All right. Never. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. That has been fire. Thank you, sir. We always say Atari, and of course, we'll actually call you here. You've said Sosion wants to be on the show.
Yes, Sosion himself will want to be here.
Absolutely, we'll call him very soon. Yes, of course, your viewers will tell you when he's coming on board. But thank you so much, Peter Munga, and of course, Dennis Mukun for coming. We can check.
And by the way, we are brothers.
Yay!
Let me tell you what the truth is that off camera, he's agreeing to the implementation.
No.
He has agreed to the implementation.
We're taking a short break now. When you come back, the conversation continues. You want to talk about plagiarism, creativeness, right here in the industry. All that after a short break.